Hi, this is Heather Crockett, the Dean of Graduate Studies at AOEU, here to share some exciting news before the podcast. For the first time ever, we're pairing the NOW conference with a one-credit graduate course. This means you can get the professional learning you love with Tim and the gang and earn the grad credit you need. So here's how it works. First, sign up for AOEU's Winter NOW conference and enroll in the course. It's called Current Topics in Art Education, and it's offered for $99. Second, enjoy the NOW conference. And third, complete the coursework. This is a self-directed course, which means there are no weekly due dates and all assignments focus on individualized learning. It gives you the time you need to think about and apply your favorite learning from the NOW conference and earn a grad credit while you're at it. This course is only offered in February and March, and you can find all the information you need about the conference and the one credit course on the AOEU website. I hope to see you at NOW and in class. Thanks.
Welcome to Art Ed Radio, the podcast for art teachers. This show is produced by the Art of Education University, and I'm your host, Tim Bogans. I'm excited today to bring Jen Lieben back to the show. Jen is a former art teacher, current instructional coach, or tech coach, I don't know for sure, and children's book illustrator. Just the point is, she does a lot of things, and I'll let her give you the full rundown. But I wanted to chat with her about a few different things related to technology. One is the idea of social media, how we use technology to connect. Part of what I talked about on last week's podcast, all about fostering online communities. And I wanted to also talk to her about using technology in art, using tech to foster creativity, which I think is a topic worth exploring. Jen will be presenting at the NOW conference in January about how it's easier than you think to utilize tech in your art teaching, and also how you can do it for free. So I'm going to have her chat about that a little bit today as well. So let me go ahead and bring her on now. Jen Lieben is back on the podcast with me. Jen, great to have you back. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing very well, actually.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. You've been on here a lot before, but for people who have not heard you or just being introduced to you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yes, I can give you my origin story.
Yes, that's what we need.
I am a 20-plus year teaching veteran. And I started out, AKA my origin story, is that I was a visual arts teacher. I taught grades 6 through 8 for 13 years in the same district that I student taught in. And then I transitioned to being the 6 through 8 computer teacher, basically like elective computer class, technology class. Not every school. A lot of schools have it. They just call it different things. That was me for another 6 years. Same school. And then for 1 year, I actually moved to the elementary school. So K-5, same district. And I was the library/media/makerspace teacher. So I like to tell everyone that I have taught all grades K through 8. And I was in the same school district my entire life. And then I was offered an opportunity to become a instructional technology coach. With the organization, we're called the LTC, or the Learning Technology Center of Illinois, which is a statewide organization that supports the use of technology in school districts all over the state. But my specific role is that I am a coach in school buildings. So if you have a school district that isn't maybe not wealthy enough, or for whatever reason you can't afford your own full-time staff members that are coaches or technology coaches, whatever, you can contract a coach out for a specific number of days. So we have coaches that do as few as like 10 days over the course of a school year, more of like a consulting. And then we have some coaches that are almost full time. So my organization cobbles those jobs together to make full-time positions for us. So I work in South Cook County, Illinois, so just south of Chicago. And I work in 2 school districts this year. It's almost evenly half and half split. And I love it because basically for people that don't know all of the, ins and outs and minutia of the job, I get to be the fun auntie that comes into a classroom, does little tech jobs, shows them how to do things like oohs and ahs. And then I get to be like, see ya, and leave the kids with mom and dad to handle all the other stuff. I mean, that's kind of if I had to describe it to like the layperson, I get to go into classrooms, do fun stuff and leave. So I've never had such a great fanfare as when you walk into a classroom and all the kids go, yeah, yes. I wish I could bottle that. Like, what a great
That's a great feeling because I used to travel as an elementary art teacher, and I'd just show up like every few weeks, and then you come in, oh man, that reception from kids, it's glorious.
I can imagine very similar because you're coming in and you're doing something fun.
Yeah, exactly. And they love all that. So I guess one of the reasons I wanted to chat with you today is, even though you are doing a lot of tech stuff now, you always have an eye on things that are creative, and you've always kind of kept art as part of what you're doing. And I guess I'm just curious about what you're doing right now. Because you've gone through art, you've done tech, you've done coaching, you've done like book illustrations, like you have so many things going on. So, like what are you working on like right now? Like what has captured your interest? What are you exploring? What has piqued your interest lately?
Yeah. So it's funny because I forget about all that other stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, I also draw books.
Yeah, I do that too.
So yes, everything I do has like an art bent in it and some sort of creative bent in it. And I think that that's my particular specialty and what I have to offer the schools that I work with. The other coaches I work with, some are like literacy people, some are like data and research people. With me, I am the art, the creativity girl. I do a lot of maker spacey things. Mm-hmm. So when I go into my buildings, we're doing a lot of like 3D printing, or we're doing even like the school's like, we have a Cricut. How can we use that with the student? And let's find ways to integrate it with the curriculum. So I get to do a lot of project-based learning. I get to do a lot of like art and creative projects. So it's like I still get to be the art teacher, but instead of using traditional media, I use tech. So that's really cool. I mean, that's fun. And then as far as the book illustration stuff, that is something that I guess I always was interested in. So, when you first go to college and you get your bachelor's and your mom and dad say, what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to be when you grow up? I remember that I actually said I want to write children's books. Not because I like writing the stories. I just want to draw the pictures. And there's no like degree and like have a children's book author degree, So I got the whole like drilling from the parents, like, yeah, but what are you going to do to get a steady paycheck? I'll be an art teacher. So that's how that like started. I mean, I know I'm supposed to have like a much grander, like it is a calling.
Yeah, I was going to say, you need the calling. Honestly, profession.
It started, I mean, we can have that discussion too, because yes and no on both can be, yeah. But the initial spark was you needed a steady paycheck. But I love making art. And needless to say, that didn't pan out when I was an undergrad, but just through working, my normal job and putting stuff out on social media and networking and going to conferences and talking to people, you make these connections and these opportunities come up that you don't necessarily expect or look for. And I mean, in my case, at least it's kind of what happened. I have a hard time saying no, which can be good and bad, but it does sometimes lead to these things. So, I had just kind of put it out there like, hey, I think it'd be cool to like draw a book. And through, my networking, I'm a Google innovator and coach. So through the Googly network, I got connected with someone who has like a publishing company, and I just kind of submitted some drawings and didn't think anything of it. And then all of a sudden one day I got an email that was like, hey, somebody's interested. You want to do a book? And I said, heck yes, I do. And it happened to be a kindergarten teacher who was doing a book about for early elementary about coding and featuring young girls. And I was like, oh, drawing girl power, computer science. Like, this is all of the things that I love. So it just worked out. And then from that first book, word kind of caught on and got passed on. And now I've done a couple other books. And those I've done actually was another publisher, another author. I've been working with Yaritza Viaba. She is one of the education innovation leads. I apologize if I get that wrong. If she's listening to this night, I didn't take it right. But she works with Flip, formerly known as Flipgrid.
Right.
So she is the author that I work with, and we've done several books together, and I know she has plans for even more. But her books are really fun because she does her books through the eyes of her daughter. So the first book was called Mackenzie's Time Machine, and we did kind of unsung heroes through time involving people of color. So maybe not people that you haven't really heard enough of. So, and it's through the lenses of Mackenzie thinking like, well, what can I be when I grow up? And it's a little bit like, is she dreaming or is she traveling through time? I just thought it was really cool. And I was really honored that Jaritza asked me to draw her book, because I had a little bit of that imposter syndrome. Like, well, who am I to do this? And what do I, cause I'm very, I don't know, for lack of a better term, I'm a very white girl. And I'm aware of that. And I don't want to like step on toes or speak over people or assume, but I don't know how to put this into words exactly. I was very honored that she allowed me into that space and to do that work. And I'm really proud of it. I think we did a really good job. I know that she loves it.
I love that book.
Thank you. And we did a second book that actually has two versions. There's a full English and a full Spanish version. So I got to go into that world too. I've just been exposed to so many different fun things now because of this. But the second book actually explores Mackenzie's Afro-Latina roots, because Jaritza, her one side of her family, they're all from Panama. So we got to do a lot of like Panamanian cultures. And the best part was my art teacher background came back to me, because she was like, we're doing Panamanian stuff. And I go, do you want me to do like molas in the background? And she was like, mola. And I was like, yes, I know those, because it's like such an art teacher thing, like one of our classic, projects and things that you learn and you're doing arts and cultures and things. And I was like, dude, I know that because of my art background. So thank you, art teacher world.
Hey, so you mentioned social media and making connections there. And that was something I also wanted to, I guess, just get your perspective on, like just what's happening with social media right now. Like, I've stepped back from Twitter quite a bit recently. I know you kind of have a while. Also, like, have you found a good alternative to that? Are you finding other places to make connections? Or are you just spending less time on social media now?
It's a really good question. I do think we need to talk about it. Unfortunately, I don't have like a happy or a simple answer. You're like, what's happening with social media? My first response is to be like, what is happening with social media? I don't know. I do feel like I've stepped back quite a bit. I felt like I was doing it actually before the whole takeover of Twitter, blah, blah, blah. Just because I've tried to be really aware of how using technology and using social media makes me feel. So this is interesting because this is coming from a tech person. So I very much love tech and I advocate for it. But I also am struggling in my own personal life with the idea of the both and, that things are neither all good or no bad, and things can be both. And that includes technology. And if I'm on social media and it's making me feel bad, and I notice that I'm doom scrolling and I'm kind of spiraling down a thing, that I need to step away. Like, I have a Facebook account, but for all intents and purposes, I am not on Facebook, because I don't go, I don't check, I don't, there are places where you have to have it because there's this group that like I belong to, but then I never check it. It just became, in my experience, such a cesspool of disinformation and misinformation. And with my connections, for a while, Twitter sort of became my safe haven. And then that became a place where you couldn't, I don't know what do I say? You couldn't, I actually had an incident. I don't know, when was the last time we talked? I don't know if I told you this story last time I was on here, about my superintendent came after me on Twitter because I made a comment about wearing masks. And so, yeah, it was a whole big thing. Okay. And the problem is, like, somebody says something and then like bots and interest groups can like snag onto it and like dogpile, and it just gets really bad really fast. So the safest thing sometimes is to just like not engage at all. So I felt like a lot of the times when I was on Twitter, I would spend a lot of times, like I would read somebody's tweet and I'd be like, yeah, right on. That's awesome. And then the comments would be like, I'd start to see those trolly people. And I would spend a lot of time like going in and being like, yep, block that
You
person, block
can't
that
spend
person.
time in the comments. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. And I just realized how much, like where I was putting my energy, and I didn't like it. And I don't know. I'm unhappy with it right now. Do I have an alternative? Not necessarily. I have an Instagram.
I was going to say that's the problem I run into where, you know, there's not necessarily a good alternative, but yet you still want to make those connections. You still want to form that community. Like that's what I talked about on last week's podcast was just like, where do you find a community? And if it's not on social media, it's so hard for art teachers because of lack of colleagues, lack of connections. And so it's just something that I've been, you know, thinking about a lot lately. And I don't have an answer. I don't know what the solution is, but
I know. I think I've kind of taken for the most part, kind of step back and see what happens. And then, you know, like I created an account on Hive Social, because a lot of my like library friends, so I have like all these different networks. I have like the art teacher friends, the tech friends, and the library from my years as a librarian. A lot of them have gone to Hive. Doesn't seem like it's picked up a bunch. I know like Mastodon, I had heard about it even like before the whole Twitter takeover. And it all had like sounded promising, but everything I hear is just that it's kind of tedious and complicated. And I don't need another project.
That's the thing. Like I don't want to learn anything else. Like I just don't have the time or the energy to learn another platform. But anyway.
And it's not that you're against learning. It's just that I think we're more selective about what it is that we want to put our energy towards and what it is we want to learn. And if we're like, is the benefit going to be worth the effort that you put out? And like, we don't know. And if we're just going to enter another place that feels like this existing place, then maybe let's just not go there.
Right, exactly. So, okay, let me change directions here for just a second. But we still want to talk about connections and community and learning. So we're going to chat about the Now Conference for a little bit. You're coming back to present again. So can you just chat a little bit about, you know, tying a bunch of these ideas together and what you're doing for your presentation?
Yeah. First of all, thank you guys for having me back. Cause I know I was thinking a little while ago, I was like, oh man, I haven't done anything with Art of Ed in a while. And that's always such a good group. Like I really enjoyed working with them. And then it was like,
thanks.
There's Tim. Yeah. I wished it into the world and there it was. So I like working with Art of Ed in the Now Conference because I get to combine those things that I love, like kind of coming back to my art roots, but then integrating the technology. And I know that art teachers, there's a whole spectrum. There are teachers that like fully embrace and love technology. And I think I would probably put myself on that end, since it's where I went anyways. I've worked with teachers that are very anti-tech, that are like, no, traditional media only is the only valid thing. And then I've worked with teachers that lie somewhere in the because there is no, you know, black or white. We have that whole spectrum of things. But I know that it can be hard because art teachers, we already have to be like sort of jacks of all trades. You know, especially if you're not like a specialized high school, you know, teacher in a certain medium, you're, you know, elementary teacher, you're doing clay and you're doing weaving and you're doing drawing and painting and you're doing paper construction and you're doing plaster and you're doing, you know, depending on so much stuff you have to know already. Like, do you want to throw tech into that? Plus art is messy. Do you want to open those Chromebooks and get junk all over them? I mean, there's a lot to consider. So I know it, I feel it, I understand. But there are ways, especially like when we were dealing with remote learning and pandemic and stuff, that you sort of had to adapt. You were forced into it. And there are things that you can do in visual arts using technology that doesn't require like a whole new set of tools or a whole new software, and you don't have to learn how to use Photoshop and Illustrator. I mean, I love it. It's great. Those of you that do, you're probably already on board with me. But for those people that are not, it doesn't need to be that complicated. You can do a lot with the free tools that you already have. And that's sort of what I'm going to be focusing on. And I'm going to narrow that down even more specifically. We're going to be talking about Google Slides and Google Draw, which they function pretty much the same. how you can use that free tool that you probably already have, and you can, on a Chromebook, no extra special tools needed. And if you don't have Chromebooks, you have a computer lab with fine too, because it's just web-based. You can actually create beautiful portraits and images and graphics that look very much like Illustrator vector images. And it's not as hard as you think. And as an art teacher, having projects that kind of have that like success built in, the ones where they always look good. For some reason, when you draw a shoe, when you do the sneaker drawing, everybody does it. They always look really good. Or when you teach the kids 1-point perspective or 2-point perspective, they always look really good. Like the kid, so it's like a successful project because the kids can feel successful. It's got that like built into it. I feel like doing graphics with Google Drawings has that same sort of end results, even though, in art, there's very much the process versus product. Like you get the process, but also the product looks good at the end. And it's one of those wins.
I was going to say that's a win-win situation right there.
Yeah. So I like that. I've done it with students in an art class setting. I've done it in a tech class setting where we make graphics on Google Draw. And it's worked in both. And I've had students that have, enjoyed it or learned enough or really like it resonated with them enough that they on their own then would create other and show me like, I did a picture of my dog, check this out, or I did this, and I love that when they learn a skill that they want to use on their own. That's always another win. Win.
Exactly. Okay, so you mentioned this kind of in that last answer, and I wanted to chat with you just about the idea of tech and creativity. And I know this is probably could be its own podcast, definitely part of like a bigger discussion, but just a quick opinion from you. I've noticed that a lot of teachers are apprehensive when it comes to using tech in art, and I hear a lot. What you just refuted, but a lot of teachers do think that like technology and creativity are like mutually exclusive. And so I know like you are proof that technology and creativity can coexist, but can I just get your thoughts on just like how teachers can use technology to help in art and how they can use tech to foster creativity in their students?
Well, yeah, I mean, for sure. Actually, my medium of choice. So in my undergrad, my major was drawing and painting, which is funny. The tech teacher was traditional media. But my medium of choice is I draw on my iPad. I do digital drawings. My drawings look like color pencil drawings, but it's the brushes you use and everything. So it's fun. And I like it because it's portable, it's mobile. I can start at one place, go someplace else and work on, it's continual. I love the idea of working in layers. So if I mess something up, I can just remove part of it. Like that apprehension that students have sometimes with drawing, like where they draw really tiny. Like if you're doing it digitally, you can click on it and you can blow that thing up, and you don't have to start over on a new sheet of paper, or you draw a line and it's wrong and the kids drew too dark and you go to erase it and you still see the line. Technology helps to resolve a lot of, what do I want to say? Like issues or barriers or struggles that students have sometimes. So like doing a drawing digitally versus on paper. So that's just one like very specific example of how that works. But as a technology coach, not only am I helping you integrate it into the curriculum, but I'm helping you utilize it as a teacher, because the technology doesn't always have to be for the purpose of art. It can just be for the purpose of your workflow and your organization and making your life easier as a professional, which then gives you more time to do the art stuff too, I love the idea of using technology and art as a way to create digital portfolios and to help archive work. And then that allows for greater like reflection on work. If you're an art teacher and you're not using a site like Artsonia, I mean, like, get on board, man. That's been around forever, and it just keeps getting better and better. I don't even have an account with them anymore, but for people that know me, my husband is an art teacher too. We are that couple. And he's using it with his middle school students, and just the ability that it rolls your students over from year to year, and you can see that progression over time. I'm also a mom, and my kid's art teacher uses Artsonia, and I am so excited when I get a freaking email that like he's got something new. I'm like, oh, what is it this time? Yeah. And then I'm totally that mom where I'll like buy stuff with it on there too. And then that benefits the school. I mean, granted, art teachers hold a special place in my heart. So when they do things like the book fair and you can like buy a book for a teacher, I'm
Yeah.
always buying it for the art teacher
Of
because I'm like,
course.
everybody else forgot about you. I'm buying you this thing. Yeah. So I know that's not always the case because we do feel like the land of misfit toys very often. But there's still a lot that technology can offer the arts. It doesn't always have to be a part of the process itself of creating art. And because everything is good and bad, there are also just discussions about art that can be had in terms of like the latest AI app that everybody's using, you know, and what does that, you know, mean for artists and how is it good and how is it bad? And again, it can be both, you know, how does it make art accessible to people that couldn't otherwise maybe afford it? You know, I mean, so there are issues, you know, just does stuff like that take money from artists? Yeah, but there's also benefits. So it's hard to like just make that judgment. You have that initial reaction. And I think that those are valuable conversations that we can have, even with little kids, you know, and saying, hey, art generated by a computer and art generated by a person is one better than the other. And like just having them talk about it, like kind of cool. I mean, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot to it. I know teacher hesitation is that uncomfortability that we always have to feel like we're the expert on everything. Right. And a lot of times with tech, we're having to be vulnerable. We're having to say like, I know how this is supposed to work, but if it doesn't work, and then you feel like you wasted 40 minutes when you only get 40 minutes a week or every 2 weeks or whatever, it's hard to kind of like go to that uncertainty. If your building has a technology coach or somebody that can support you and be that safety net and like go into the classroom with you, just in case, no, not in case, when the tech goes all wrong, that's something that I do and something that I can provide for my teachers. Yeah. But it doesn't cover that like the mental insecurity, the uncomfortableness, the vulnerability that you do have to show as a teacher that you're not going to know all the answers and you will get stuck somewhere. But that's when you literally, I would say to my class, I would be like, oh my gosh, you guys, I can't figure out how to click on this and get this to move. Anybody else having this problem? How did you fix it?
That was such a mindset shift for me when I was able to embrace the idea of like, hey, students, let's learn this together. Or even say, can you help me learn this? You know, and it was tough for me. Like I've talked about that before on this podcast. It was very difficult for me to let go of that and like not be the expert in the classroom. But then once I did, oh my gosh, it was such a wonderful feeling. Yeah. Like, it was so freeing to be able to, just like I said, learn along with the kids or learn from the kids. And a lot of things with technology and just new developments allow you to do that. And I think it's really worthwhile.
As soon as you learn something, a new version is coming out. So you got to get over it. It's not,
Exactly. Cool. All right. Well, Jen, let's go ahead and wrap it up there. It's been great talking to you. I appreciate your perspective, your insight, and it's always wonderful to talk to you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to Jen. That was a really fun conversation for me. I hope you enjoyed it as well. If you're interested in learning more from her, make sure you sign up for the Winter Now conference. A ton of great presentations, over 30 now that we have scheduled. It's going to be a great 3 days of learning, January 27th, 28th, and 29th. You can find all the information you need to register on the AOEU website. We really hope to see you there. Art Ed Radio is produced by the Art of Education University with audio engineering from Michael Crocker. One more call. I chatted about this last week really quickly, but I'm asking for help with a future episode. I want to do an episode centered around joy. You know, asking the question, what brings you joy in your teaching? You know, what are the things that make you love your job? You know, the big things, the little things, the even in-between things that help you find joy in teaching. If you are willing to share, I would love to hear from you. You can email me at timothybogatz@theartofeducation.edu, or I will have a link to a Google form in the show notes where you can share as well. So tell me, what brings you joy in teaching? I would appreciate hearing your story.